Good morning, everyone. My name is Gerardo Gomez, and I'll be presenting Canadian English. Why Canadian English? Well, I decided to present about Canadian English because it is interesting for me. Um, I currently live in the United States, and it's kind of interesting for me to hear some people like making fun or criticizing the Canadian English. So that made me curious, and I wanted to know why, and if it's very different or not, and what are the origins of the English in Canada, and some other important aspects. Of course, we're gonna compare with K-Cross and Mayer's models, and yeah, we're gonna see some traditions also. But basically, I'm presenting Canadian English because I'm curious in why. Because we think my native language is Spanish, so we grow up with with the English as a foreign language, and we have that idea of that Canada, it's one of the countries that you have to go if you want to learn English, right? But then when I came to the U.S. and people were like criticizing Canadian English, that was very kind of like that ignited a spark in my mind. Like why is that the Canadian English is not perfect, right? So okay, so first of all, let's see basic information why in Canada they use English also, right? So Canadian English is the variety of English spoken in Canada. Today, Canada has a population of about 38 million people, and the majority speak English as their first language, even though French is another of the languages, official languages that people speak in Canada. So why English? Of course, because the early British settlers, loyalists who migrated from the United States after the American Revolution, later immigration from Scotland and Ireland, of course, and long-standing influence of indigenous languages. Of course, there was also Native American people in Canada, so that also has to be included because it also makes the English have a variation different from other places. So let's see the K-Cross three circles. So according to Cradle's model, Canadian English belongs to the inner circle, right? As we know, it's part of the inner circle since it's a native English variety spoken by the majority of the population. And it plays a central role in education, of course, and trade also, government and media, right? So, yes, of course, the first thing that comes to our minds is English when we think of Canada, right? So, on Mayer's model, using Mayer's model, Canadian English is classified as a super central variety, meaning it has international relevance, stable norms, and influence over other varieties, although less than American English, of course. As I mentioned before, people here in the United States sometimes criticize or they sometimes make funny comments about the Canadian English, right? Its proximity to the United States and shared media spaces strengthen its global presence. So maybe it's because of that, right? As I mentioned also before, like when we think of English and we are living in a Spanish-speaking country, we also include Canada in this circle of the countries where we may be going to learn English, right? So it's probably, and like says here, it's because of the proximity with the United States, right? Canadian racing. Well, one of the most distinctive phonological features is Canadian racing. This affects the diphthongs A and A before voiceless consonants. For example, about, we say in English, in American English, or in any other about, they say ball, right? About. So it changed this variation. This is one of the most common, and it's actually what people used to make fun of. Actually, this is one of the words Writer versus writer. Canadians keep a clear distinction, right? This feature separates Canadian English from both Standard American and British English, right? Yeah, so it's basically, this is one of the most, it's the Canadian racing, right? So yeah, it may sound weird, a little bit weird, because I just had dental surgery a few days ago and I'm wearing braces right now, but I hope you can hear me well. Yeah, so so rhoticity. Canadian English is fully rhotic, meaning speakers pronounce R in all positions, like most American varieties, but unlike many British varieties. That may be one of the main difference with in English, right? For example, car, right? So hard, winter, right? Winter. So winter, like in the British, right? Winter. So we say winter, like winter, right? Winter, like more like similar to the American English, more like similar to American English. The positions Canadian English closer to American English in this respect, right? So it's very similar. Winter, right? Because you use the R, like this is about the R. So lexical items. Canadian English has unique vocabulary influenced by British English, American English, and indigenous languages. Examples include loonie, $1 coin, toonie, $2 coin. You see, this is what the people used to make fun of, right? Washroom instead of the restroom or toilet is the washroom. Chesterfield, old-fashioned word for sofa, the Chesterfield, you know. Toque, a winter hat, comes from French. Of course, it's another influence of French. These lexical items reflect Canadians' multicultural heritage, which is beautiful. This is what I like the most. Is this variation comes from a multicultural luggage, we can call it like that, right? So let's now see the orthography. And Canadian spelling mixes British and American influences. British is scholar, honor, center, theater, and American is tire, analyze, program. This combination reflects historical ties with Britain and strong contact with the United States, right? Of course, roots from the mother English, right? And combined with the American English, which makes it more shorter or easier or more practical, right? Cultural traditions, quickly. Canadian English is deeply connected to Canadian cultural traditions. The celebration of Thanksgiving in October, which differs from the American date. Indigenous cultural ceremonies and vocabulary, winter sports, especially ice hockey, which is very, very important. It's a big thing in Canada. Strong multicultural identity reinforced by migration policies. French, English, bilingualism, and cultural coexistence. All these elements contribute to how Canadian English has evolved and is used in daily life. Tools for the masterclass. From the masterclass now, I'm running out of time. Sorry, I have 1 minute. In this presentation, I'll apply tools from the masterclasses, particularly those related to linguistic contact and nativization processes. Canadian English developed through intense contact between English, French, indigenous languages, and American English. This masterclass also highlight how identity and culture shape language variation, something clear visible in Canadian English, hybrid spelling, and distinctive pronunciation patterns. Conclusion, right now, let's go to the last part. To conclude, Canadian English is a dynamic and influential variety within the English-speaking world. It has clear historical origins, well-defined linguistic features, and strong cultural foundations. It's positioned in both K-Cross inner circle and Mary's supercentral category shows its importance as a stable, standardized, and internationally recognized variety. And thank you very much for watching.